Another day, another investigation into military sexual assault charges, this time involving the U.S. Naval Academy. 3 Navy football players were charged with sexually assaulting a woman more than a year ago. Her lawyer says when the case was first reported, the Navy did not press charges. It's reopened now amid a flood of ugly investigations, so some that go straight to the top. And Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Krasinski, the officer in charge of sex assault prevention in the Air Force, was accused of groping a woman in a parking lot and charged with sexual battery. Then an Army sergeant and assault prevention coordinator at Fort Hood was accused of sex crimes, and that investigation is ongoing. In these cases, they all add fuel for lawmakers who want policies and attitudes within the military change. Joining me now, one advocate for change, Congresswoman Jackie Speier, who serves on the Oversight and Government Reform Committee. Congresswoman, it's great to have you here. And we saw last week the House approving a mandatory 2-year minimum for a prison sentence for servicemen convicted of rape and sexual assault. But we know from the latest Pentagon report that most cases aren't reported at all. And so while punishment does matter, is the real problem changing the culture and the fear of reporting because of retribution within our ranks?
Exactly. In fact, only about 3,000 of the 26,000 cases are reported. And of those 3,000 cases, only about 500 go to court-martial and about 200 get convictions. So it becomes a career ender for most persons who actually file a complaint.
So some would argue, though, that the only way to make victims feel safer to report these crimes and to take the bias out of prosecution is to remove these cases from within the chain of command. But as we've seen, the much heated debate over this, the Senate Armed Services Committee has decided that the military still needs to handle its own cases, and we have Senator Claire McCaskill defending that vote on Morning Joe today. Take a look at this.
Anybody who thinks what we did in the Armed Services Committee is coddling the Pentagon doesn't understand the UCMJ. What we have done is we've created a crime of retaliation, and I firmly believe, and this is an honest disagreement about which is stronger for victims, I believe there is less chance of a victim being retaliated against when the commander remains in the process at the beginning.
All right, so while retribution is now criminal, is that a valid point that the senator is making, though, that they stay involved?
I have the highest respect for Claire McCaskill. I just disagree with her on this issue. You know, I introduced the first legislation to take it out of the chain of command. I'm absolutely committed to this issue, and until we take it out of the chain of command, we are not going to see the sense within the military of people feeling free enough to come forward and file a complaint, because they get ostracized, they get set to the side and identified with what they call a personality disorder, and then they are involuntarily honorably discharged. We have got to fix this. Other countries have done it. The UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Israel, all of them have taken it out of the chain of command. There is no reason why we can't do the right thing for all the people who serve in the military. It's not just about protecting the defendant, it's also about protecting the victim.
You know, one of the strongest signs of change that we've seen yet, the Army just suspended 2-star Major General Michael Harrison, who was a commander of U.S. forces in Japan, for allegedly failing to properly handle a sex assault allegation. Is accountability at the top? That's truly the key to culture change, next to talking about how these are actually adjudicated.
You're absolutely right. Accountability, but also prosecution. Until we prosecute more of these cases, people are not going to feel, men and women who serve in the military who are sexually assaulted and raped are not going to feel comfortable coming forward. So it's 2 prongs. And yes, because there is such a microscope that is lasered on the military right now, they are taking the kinds of steps they should have been taking over the last 25 years.
Congresswoman Jackie Speier, thanks for making time for me today. I do appreciate it.
Happy to.